You're going to see arrows drawn on the paper because this is the second time I'm recording this due to audio issues. So please forgive. How does this work? Well, we have main. The first thing that happens in main is we create an array called nums, which is full of chars, A, B, C, D. We print nums. We for loop through nums, printing num sub indices. We run change it, passing it nums, and then we print out everything in nums using the indices. In change it, what are we doing? We're iterating through arg, which is the passed in array, and we're setting all of the locations, all of the indices equal to 0. And what is actually happening here? Well, let's go ahead and start over. On the right side here we have a memory drawing, and the first thing that happens in main is we create an array of chars, and an array is an object. An object is a set of variables, so anything that's not a primitive data type is an object, right? Even a string, which is not a primitive data type, is an object. Although the programmers of Java, or the creators of the Java compiler, they force the compiler to treat strings as primitive data types because they're used so often. But strings are actually an array of chars. Right? So the next thing we do is print nums, right? And what is it going to print out? Well, if we have this variable called nums on line number 1, it is set equal to a memory location, right? And that is the place in memory where the contents of the array are stored. This would be indices 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? And you can see here there's an X, which signifies it's a memory location. If you look closely, it says 0, E, 9, 8, 1. And this is I think it's supposed to be a 6-digit hexadecimal number, which is base 16, which means that this number is gigantic, which reflects the size of memory on your hard disk drive. We go ahead and print nums. It's going to print out a memory location, X0E981. We go ahead and for loop through the array, printing out the indices, and it will print out, well, first it'll go to nums. What's inside of nums is the memory location. It'll go right here. And then when it says num sub 0, it'll print out the A. Num sub 1, it'll print out the B. Num sub 2, the C, and then the D. We come downstairs one line, and it runs change it, passing it nums. Now, when you pass an object to a function, you pass by reference versus pass by value. Passing by reference means you pass the memory location to the function. Passing by value means you pass the content of the variable to the function. And what you need to understand is that when you pass an object to a function, you pass by reference. You pass the memory location. When you pass a primitive data type, you pass by value. You pass the number that's inside of the variable, not the memory location of the variable itself. Okay. So here we're passing nums, which is an array, which is an object, passing by memory location. So when it jumps down here to change it, this variable arg, which is a temporary variable created by change it, now contains the memory location that is in nums, right? X0E981. What is that pointing to? That's pointing to the exact same place that nums is pointing to, right? Now when we for loop through and we set arg sub I equal to 0, we are first going to go to arg, which is the memory location here, which is the same memory location that nums is pointing to, and we're going to set the sub 0 equal to 0, the sub 1 equal to 0, sub c equal to 0, sub 2 equal to 0, sub 3 equal to 0, and then since this function calls void, it's going to come back here to change it, returning nothing, and then we're going to for loop through nums, printing out num sub 0, 1, 2, 3. Now what is it going to print when it prints out nums? Well, first it's going to go to where nums points to, which is the memory location here, and it's going to print out num sub 0, which is now 0, num sub 1, which is now 1, num sub 2, which is now 2, num sub 3, which is now 0, right? So it's going to print out all zeros. All right, you should know this. All right, and this question number 36 here assumes that you know this, but it throws a curveball. And so what is the curveball? Well, let's first go through the whole program. You'll see there's arrows. Of course, this is the second time I'm explaining this, so I'm not happy. And this is unclear, so we're both not happy. But let's live through it. How does it work? We have change it defined here. We have start defined here. The question says when start is run, what is printed out? So let's look at what start does. It creates a nums array. It creates this value variable that's equal to 6, runs change it, iterates through nums, prints out everything, and then prints out value. Right. Now this is clearly a question about pass by reference versus pass by value. When we run change it nums, we're passing by reference. When we run change it value, we're passing by value. Right. You should know this. You're like, yes, I know this is what's going on here. Right. I answered this correctly. So let's go ahead and run up to change it and see what's happening. We create this list variable, this num variable. Num is equal to 6. List is equal to the same memory location as nums, right? For a reason stated earlier. And then let's ignore the top part. We look at the for loop and we say, oh, okay, they're setting list equal to 0. They're setting all the values in list equal to 0, which means when it comes back here to start and we for loop through nums, it's going to print out all zeros, because we know that arrays are objects, and we know that changes made to another function, which is past the same array, are reflected back in the function that was calling the second function. Right? We know this, but the answer is wrong. Right? And why? Because this is a trick question. This is like a really tricky question, because it's like, oh, okay. It's a curveball question, right? And why? Because on the first line of change it, what are they doing? They're saying list, like right here, right when it jumps up to change, when it calls change it, it jumps up right here. Yes, list is a variable that contains the same memory location as nums. Yes. When it gets to line number 1, list is equal to a new int array, which means a new memory location is allocated, and list is set equal to a new memory location. So it's no longer pointing to the same place that nums is pointing to. It's now pointing to a different place. And in this different place, the for loop is setting each of the values in the list array equal to 0. And then when we go ahead and return back here, right, it's going to go ahead and print out nums. And where's nums? It's right over here. And nums has been untouched. It's still equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would print out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it would print out the 6, right, which is the correct answer. So that is that.